After getting fired, a man by the name of Tom is forced to work for his wife's father while she becomes a full-time mom. The movie begins with Tom and his wife Sophia struggling to pick a name for their soon-to-be-born child. Sophia is reading a baby book and wants to follow all instructions. Tom tells her to stop reading the book and to look at him and say the first name that pops into her head. She calls him Doofus as a joke, and they laugh about it. Tom gets up to prepare breakfast, and Sophia tells him that she won't be having an epidural because it's best for the baby. He gets concerned and asks whether she'll bear the pain. She says that she is willing to do everything, so the baby is as healthy as possible. Tom kisses his wife and gets out as he's rushing to get to work. While walking to work, Tom is stopped by an old friend. His friend starts bragging about how rich he is, so Tom starts lying and even says that he has a yacht. Tom arrives to work and complains to his coworker. He asks himself where he had gone wrong. He heads to the kitchen and notices that everyone's quiet. He asks what's wrong, and one coworker tells him that someone had left some salmon overnight, and their boss Leon will be docking everyone's pay. The coworkers ask Tom to talk to Leon, but he says he won't because he's about to have a baby and can't risk not getting the promotion. Leon walks in at that moment and starts giving orders to everyone. He tells one guy that he will be working that Sunday, and the guy tells him that he has to go to his sister's wedding. Leon doesn't care about that and tells him that he needs to work. Everyone is looking at Leon, and he notices that Riley calls him a derogatory term, so Leon fires him. He starts insulting Riley, so Tom squirts some barbecue sauce in his face. Tom realizes what he had done and apologizes, but that isn't enough for Leon, as he gets a pork chop and slaps him. Riley gets in his face and says that you can never hit a man with a pork chop. Leon slaps him as well, and a fight breaks down in the kitchen. Tom stops the fight, but Leon tells him that he's fired as well, and squirts barbecue sauce on both of them. Tom attacks him again, and the fight ends with Tom and Riley being kicked out of the kitchen. Sophia goes to work to gather her stuff and sees her concerned coworker. She asks her whether something's wrong, and her coworker says that she is concerned about how Tom is going to manage their finances while she is staying at home. Sophia says that she won't be a housewife but a full-time mom. Her water breaks in the middle of the office, and she realizes that the baby's coming. Tom gets a call from the hospital and heads there immediately. He sits next to his wife, and she starts screaming. She says that the cramps are really painful and asks for an epidural. The nurse tells her that there are no anesthesiologists available and that she should have asked earlier. Sophia grabs him by the collar and demands an anesthesiologist, so Tom goes to find one. He finds the doctor, but he tells him that he's going home. He tells him that his wife is in a lot of pain and he needs him immediately. He says no, so Tom steals the keys in his hand. He starts running away from the man through the hallways until he ends up in his wife's room. They fall on the floor when they arrive in the room, and Tom tells his wife that he had found an anesthesiologist. The doctor gives Sophia an epidural and tells the guards to take Tom to the police station. Sophia begs the police officers, and Tom asks the doctor whether there is something they can do for him. Tom remembers that they don't have a name for their son, and asks the doctor what his name is. He says Hakim, so Tom asks for his last name. They name the baby Oliver after the doctor's name. After Sophia gets her baby, Tom decides to tell her that he had lost his job. He tries to explain himself, but Sophia stops him and mentions every job he's been fired off of. She says she loves that he speaks his mind, and he can smell funny stuff from a mile away, but he should be able to make compromises like everyone else. Tom gets closer and tells her that his whole situation is a sign of God, the sign that they should move to New York. He says that he is willing to take her father's job offer. Sometime later, we see the couple and the newborn going to Ohio. While driving there, Tom can't help but notice that the neighborhood isn't something he would like. They arrive at their house, and Sophia's parents surprise them. They get inside and see funny-looking furniture. Tom asks whose furniture is in their house, and they say that they bought the furniture as a housewarming gift. Sophia's father, Bob, tries to talk some sense into Tom about having a real job. Tom says that he has had a job before, but Bob says being a cook isn't a real job. Sophia tries to defend him by saying that he had a job as a chef and not a cook, but Bob says it's the same thing. He says that having a real job changes you and makes you proud. He starts complimenting Sophia and mentions her success in college. Tom says that he is aware of her success because they have been dating since college. Bob says that he will be putting Chip Sanders as the head of training, and that makes Sophia feel uncomfortable. Later in the night, before getting into bed, Tom asks Sophia about Chip. She says that she hasn't seen him since high school when they were cheerleading together. Tom asks Sophia to put one of her cheerleading outfits on, as he tries to get romantic with her. She tells him that she isn't ready for that yet, so Tom goes to bed. Tom goes to work the next morning and sees a rather strange office. People are not in a suit and ties but are in a more relaxed fit. Bob sees him and goes to him. He admits that he had forgotten to tell him not to come in a suit and tie, as they have a more comfortable business-appropriate uniform, being yourself but in a business-appropriate way. Bob tells him that a new leader had taken over the last year, and his name is Don Wolopin. Tom is introduced to Doug and Manny, and they start playing with an imaginary ball. Doug throws it to Tom, and he doesn't catch it, which makes Manny run after it. Bob tells Tom that he has to catch the yes ball, as it's their way of showing each other they're in sync. They have a meeting and Bob talks about the pickle whip. They're trying to put tartar sauce on a burger and sell it. After dealing with business, Bob introduces Tom to the rest of the coworkers. Manny throws the yes ball to Tom, and he passes it to Chip as he says long run, meaning the ball is going further. All of them go silent, but Tom tells Chip that he has to jump to get it. Chip moves from the table, and it can be seen that he is in a wheelchair. He tells Tom that he can't jump and hadn't been able to since he was 5. He introduces himself to Tom, and Bob says that Chip is the one Tom will be working under. After the meeting is over, Tom goes to apologize to Chip. Bob comes with him as well, and says that they don't apologize in the office. They use a method called Moushawake. You write your apologies on paper and hand it to the person. Bob tells Tom that he will be working under the Best, because Chip had won Best Advertiser of Ohio that year. Things seem to be going great for Sophia, as she spends her day taking care of her son. Sometime later, Chip goes to Tom's desk. He sees a picture of Tom and Sophia, and calls Tom a lucky man. He puts the picture down and says that he doesn't care if Tom had gotten the job through family connections, or whether he had earned it like the rest of them. The most important thing for him is that he's there. Tom says that he will complete any task Chip gives him, but Chip tells him to slow down. Sophia is watching TV when she hears something snapping outside. She heads out and sees a boy playing with snaps. He tells her that he's bored, because his dad wouldn't let him watch the TV. Sophia says she's bored as well, because she doesn't do anything but take care of her son. She lets the boy in the house for some company, and the kid starts telling her about his life. He says that he lives with his mother during the school year in New Jersey, and comes over the summer with his dad. His dad is at work all the time, and his friends are back in New Jersey, so he finds himself bored all the time. It is lunch break in the office for Tom, and he grabs a fruit yogurt. He starts eating it and his coworker Carol comes in. She advises him to get out of there as fast as possible, but reveals that she's joking soon. She says that it will be hell once Chip realizes that someone has eaten his yogurt. Chip gets to the kitchen and looks for his yogurt. Tom takes it from behind his back and asks whether it's his. Chip says that it's okay, because it's his fault he hasn't told him about the yogurt. Tom says that Bob had told him about the free snacks in the kitchen, and Chip points to the muffins. Tom offers him the rest of the yogurt, and even offers to go to the store to buy a new one, but Chip says that he would not eat it as a way of punishment. Carol tells him that he has messed up, and gives him a week before he gets fired. He gets home and complains to his wife about Chip immediately. He calls him angry, and Sophia tells him that he would be angry as well if he had lost his ability to walk. Tom says that it's not related to his disability, and thinks that he has a dark side. Sophia says that it is his first week on the job, and he shouldn't be trying to start any fights. He says that he's not trying to start anything, he's just saying what he senses. They hear the toilet flush and the little kid, Wesley, from earlier comes out. Tom asks about him, and Sophia says that his dad doesn't let him watch TV, so that's why he's there. The next day, Tom is in a meeting with the whole team. They are talking about sales and their client doesn't seem to be happy with it. Chip says that they have a 3-pronged strategy, but Tom jumps in and says that it is a 4-pronged strategy, and that Chip had forgotten the direct mailing. Chip says that it is a 3-pronged strategy again, but Tom decides to act smart, and tells Chip that if he had read the report he would have seen that there are 4 strategies. The client says that he had told them not to have direct mailing, and finishes the meeting. Tom apologizes and Bob tells him that the client's son had told them not to mention the direct mailing to his father. After the meeting is over, Tom apologizes to Bob again. Chip says that it's his fault because Tom is his responsibility. Bob says that he will take the blame because it's his family. Tom thanks him and goes back to his desk. Chip comes after him to bug him, but sees Sophia in the office. He starts singing their cheerleading chants, and Sophia joins in. Their cheerleading act ends with Chip picking Sophia up and holding her by her bottom while looking at Tom with a smirk. On their way home, Sophia tells Tom that she and Chip have been intimate once. They get home and Tom acts jealous. They are interrupted by Wesley coming in. He ends up staying for dinner. Before digging in, Wesley tells them that he has to show them a trick. He takes the burger and shoves it in his mouth. Without chewing, he swallows the whole burger in one go and Tom gets impressed. Tom realizes that he could make an ad for the pickle sauce, and he tells Wesley to do it again as he grabs the camera. Wesley says that he can't, but Tom convinces him by giving his $20. Tom meets Chip at the gym the next morning, and tries to pitch the idea immediately. Chip tells him to relax, because they're going to play basketball instead of working. They get inside the court, and Chip motions for Tom to get in the wheelchair. Tom says that he can as he doesn't feel comfortable. Chip says that people like him do it all the time, and the disabled are cool with it. Tom gets in the wheelchair and they proceed. Chip says that the rules are the same, and he shouldn't move his legs because it would be adequate. Chip goes to the other team and he gives Tom to the Colonel. He is a rather strict player. Colonel comes to Tom and asks him whether he can play. He says no and that he is a beginner. Colonel appreciates his honesty and says that he hates fake people. The game begins and Tom can't seem to get a hold of it. After some paying, the game comes to a tie. Tom manages to score another goal, but he falls off the wheelchair. Chip comes to him and Tom laughs in his face as he has won. Chip yells out for the rest of the players and says that Tom's leg had moved. They all come to him and Tom gets up while asking Chip to explain to them, as there must have been some misunderstanding. He acts like he doesn't know anything. G and the Colonel grabs Tom and starts strangling him. We see Tom and Chip in the locker after the game. Chip apologizes to Tom about the mix-up and Tom says it's okay in a sarcastic tone. Tom goes to work the next day, and as he gets out of the elevator, he gets hit in the face with a snowboard. The guy that hit him apologizes, and as he walks away, Tom gets told that is Wollobin. They have a meeting and Chip introduces his idea to Wollobin. He says that it looks like a commercial and nobody likes commercials. Tom jumps in and says that he has an idea. Bob tells him that he isn't in a position to pitch ideas as he is only an assistant. Wollobin lets him have a go, and after the video is over congratulates him on doing it. He tells Tom that he has to present the idea the next day to Jack, and makes Chip his wingman. Wollobin invites Tom to mountain bike sometime. After Tom lies about doing it as a hobby, Tom goes to Chip to check whether there are hard feelings. And Chip says that he doesn't care because when he's in Barcelona he will think back on the idea and see it as a joke. Tom says everything to Carol, and she tells him that there's an advertising agency in Barcelona called Idea, and Chip has applied there. He stops the conversation when he notices that someone had taken his picture of Sophia. Over at the house, Sophia gets a knock on her door. She opens it only to see Abby March, her high school friend. We see Sophia in group yoga with some other mother and their babies. Abby is the lead of the group, and she begins the session. Sophia feels weird as the mothers whisper something odd to their babies. She looks to the side and sees a woman putting something on her chest. She offers her some, and says that the balm is for cow's ovaries, but it works well for sore chest. Sophia declines politely, and realizes that she doesn't belong there. Over at the office, we see Tom and Bob. Bob shows Tom a lamp Wollobin had given him as a thank you for hiring Tom. He says that things had not been well for him since Wollobin had taken over, but Tom coming to the office has changed it all, as he's doing an amazing job. Tom goes to buy a mountain bike after work, and he surprises Sophia with it. He arrives home and takes it inside. He takes the baby in his arms and it stops crying. Sophia notices the bike and asks about it. Tom tells her that Wollobin had invited him to go mountain biking, right after he had made him in charge of the Pickle Whip campaign. Sophia tells him that he's never been on a mountain bike riding, and that he should return the bike. Tom says that he won't return it, because physical fitness is important and his career is important as well. Sophia says that her day was horrible because of Abby. She humiliated her in front of the group, and called her a bad mommy. Tom says that she is an amazing mother, and continues to brag about Wollobin. He makes a joke about Chip not being able to go mountain biking, and Sophia tells him that making fun of people's disabilities is not good. He puts the baby to sleep and heads to the bedroom. Sophia asks about Wollobin and what would he get out of the ad, and Tom tells her that he would get $1,000. She thinks that it isn't fair to Wollobin, and Tom tells her that she's jealous, she's used to being a star, and because she's not getting the attention is bugging her. He asks her to admit it, but she goes to bed without saying anything. Tom meets up with Jack to discuss the ad. Jack shakes his hand while asking whether he's Irish. Tom thinks that Jack is putting on a fake Irish accent, and tries to do one as well. Jack asks whether he's making fun of him, and Tom says no. Chip chimes in and suggests getting to the important. After watching the video, Chip excuses himself, as he has to leave earlier. Before leaving, he tells Tom to present the market penetration strategy. Tom doesn't know anything about it, and embarrasses himself while trying to get the gist of it. Jack asks him whether he's talked to Chris about the strategy, and Tom lies and says that he has talked to him. Jack tells him that Chris is a woman, and Tom says that they call Chris a he because she looks like a man. After embarrassing himself, Tom goes back to the office. He confronts Chip about setting him up, but Chip says that he has a medical emergency. He has a bladder control problem. Tom goes to his desk, and when he sits down, he notices that his chair has been unscrewed. He looks at Chip and goes to the kitchen to eat his yogurt. He comes back and sets his camera on his desk, but makes sure to hide it as he wants to catch Chip messing up his things. Chip looks at him from a distance and notices the camera that Tom had set up. Later in the night, we see the whole family having a barbecue. Bob makes a toast for Tom, as he's finally gotten his act together. Tom goes to change the baby's diaper, and decides to hide with the baby as he doesn't want to go out, and be praised for something he doesn't even know how to do. On the ride back, Sophia asks Tom whether he's alright. He says that he is, but she reveals that Chip had called her and said that Tom had blown up on him. Tom can't believe that he called her to complain, but Sophia tells him that he only did that because he cares about her. Bob takes Tom to the bathroom for a private talk the next morning at work, and tells him that he has spoken to Jack. Tom tells him that Chip is trying to sabotage him, and Bob doesn't believe that. He asks him to look through his actions, but Bob is convinced that Chip is a good guy. Tom gets out of work and Manny runs after him. Tom thinks that he doesn't feel like he belongs there, and Manny tells him that he knows how it feels. He doesn't believe that, but Manny takes off his ponytail and says that he had fit in once he bought it. Tom says that not getting along with Chip has affected his relationship with his wife, and he would do anything to fix it. Manny says he's lucky as he is studying to be a marriage consultant. On the other side of Ohio, Sophia is seen at Abby's mommy yoga class. They are doing laughing exercises, and Abby calls Sophia an unlucky person, And that's not good for Oliver. Sophia has had enough, as she calls Abby an idiot and even insults her baby. Tom and Sophia agree to go to therapy as they're seen at Manny's house. He suggests an exercise of "I'm upset that." Each partner says the things they're upset about, and taps the other one with an object. They start going back and forth, and by doing so it gets more and more intense. Tom gets upset and ends up hitting Manny as well. The couple gets in the car after the exercise, and they sit in silence. After some time they start laughing and say they love each other. Tom goes to work and sees inappropriate content running on his laptop. He shuts it and looks around. He thinks that he had finally gotten Chip as he goes to check the camera, but realizes that the inappropriate content had overlapped with Wesley's video. Bob and Wolobin come by. Wolobin snatches the tape off of Tom's hand, and Tom realizes that he's in trouble. He waits for Bob to close the office and sneaks in to steal the tape. He gets the tape but forgets the lamp over the papers. When he arrives home, he goes to Wesley and asks him to remake the video. Wesley says that he doesn't eat meat anymore and that he wouldn't be interested in a veggie burger either. Tom grabs his skateboard and says that he will get it back if he agrees on shooting the video again. Wesley runs to his house, and Tom runs after him. Wesley's father pulls up and Tom goes back to his house. Sophia asks him whether he yelled at Wesley, and Tom tells her what had happened. She tells him to find someone else and to stop acting crazy. Tom goes to work the next day, only to find the office burned. Wolobin comes to him and says that the tape had been lost, and Bob had left the light bulb too close to the papers, which resulted in a fire. Tom realizes that he had caused the fire and tells Wolobin that he can fix it. He goes to Wesley and offers him $1,000 to shoot the video again. Wesley tells him that his lawyer had told him not to speak to him again. Tom doesn't believe that, but a woman comes running to him and sprays him in the eyes. He rushes home and washes his face. Sophia comes and says that Bob had been fired, and Tom admits that he could have fixed it. He says that it's about the video, and she asks him whether he had told Wolobin that the video wasn't destroyed in the fire. He says he hasn't, but even if he did, it wouldn't have changed anything. He starts yelling and says that he's trying to make it work, but he is miserable at the job. Everything he does is for her, and all she does is hang out with Oliver all day. Sophia gets offended and leaves, saying that she will be staying at her parents' house. Tom grabs his bike and heads out. He is stopped by Chip in his car and he rubs it in his face the fact that Sophia had left with a suitcase on her. Tom tells him to mind his own business, but Chip asks whether it is about work, because women don't like failures. Tom tells him that it isn't, so Chip asks about his intimate life and even suggests an enlargement pump. Chip says that he imagines Sophia in a vulnerable state, and that makes Tom furious as he tells Chip to stay away from his wife. Chip tells him that he won't do anything, and makes fun of his camera. Tom asks him how he knows about it and Chip drives off. Tom goes to the office and watches the tape again. He sees Chip's reflection on the laptop screen, and realizes that Chip has done all of that. Being alone in the office, Tom decides to go through Chip's drawer. After digging through the drawer, he finally finds evidence that Chip is lying. He finds a picture of him playing tennis, his legs perfectly working and all. While Tom is in the office, Chip is in Sophia's parents' home, having dinner with them all. Chip suggests watching a movie he had rented, and they all agree. The movie is about a disabled man being intimate with a woman. Their movie is cut short as Tom rings the doorbell. Sophia opens it and he asks her to listen to him. He says that he has proof that Chip has switched the tapes, and that is when Chip comes out. Tom sees his son on Chip and starts yelling for him to leave him alone. Sophia takes the baby and Tom proceeds to call Chip Hot Wheels and a cripple. The family's had enough, but Tom isn't finished as he pulls out Chip's tennis picture and hands it to them. He drags Chip and brings him to the top of the stairs. He pushes him off the stairs and Chip ends up falling. Tom is confused, but Sophia tells him that the man in the picture is his twin brother Danny. Bob tells Tom to get out of the house and asks him what he's doing once they're out. Tom says that he had been wrong about his disability, but says again that he has Chip on tape. Sophia comes out and tells him to go. Tom doesn't argue but gets on his bike and heads home. Sophia takes Chip back to his house and asks him whether he's fine. He says he is, but he is worried about her. He thinks she's unhappy because she's on the wrong track. He tries to get with Sophia, but she tells him that he should go. Chip heads to the door, but Tom comes out of the bushes and tells him to stay away from his wife. Chip tells him that his wife is gone and that it's over. Tom goes to hit him, but Chip is faster. He punches him in the private parts. Tom falls to the ground, and Chip tries to leave. Tom tells him that he is a horrible person, but being disabled makes him feel guilty for hating him. Chip calls Tom weak because he has done all sorts of horrible things to him, and even plans on sleeping with his wife again, but Tom still pities him. Tom says that he does, and Chip tells him not to pity him as he stands up on his feet. Tom starts a fight and says that he had known that there was something fishy about him. He asks Chip why he had pretended, and he says that he can park anywhere with the disabled mark. But what he loves the most is the pity he gets from women. Tom says that he will tell everyone, but Chip says that no one will believe him and that he should give up, because he's never going to win. Chip gets a call in the middle of the night from the vice president of IDEA in Barcelona, asking him to fly to Barcelona as soon as possible, because he had been chosen to be the creative director. Tom wakes up the next morning and hears a voicemail from Wolleben. They have set up a meeting with Wesley and his lawyer Sophia, but because he wasn't at work, Chip would be sent as a representative. Tom takes the bike and heads to Bob's. He asks about Sophia, but Bob says he doesn't know where she is. Tom is honest about the tape with Bob, and he tells him that he is responsible for losing his job. Tom tells him that he had started the fire as well, and Bob gets shocked but remains calm. Bob realizes that Wolleben is in it, and Tom agrees. Bob smiles and tells Tom where his wife is, and he heads there immediately. While driving, Tom accidentally hits a car with his bike, and ends up breaking both the car and the bike. He gets up and starts running to the place, and ends up getting there just in time before Wesley signs the contract. He gets inside and asks everyone to listen to him. He turns to Sophia and admits that he may not be the perfect husband, but one thing she loves for sure is his ability to sense funny business. He says that Chip is a sociopath and that he can stand. He knows that it's hard to believe, but he needs her to believe him without any evidence. Chip's phone rings and he answers. It's the vice president of IDEA. He holds the call and asks Sophia whether to buy 2 tickets, and she tells him that he's weird and creepy. She would never choose him over the love of her life. Tom thanks Sophia and she says that he will never lose her. Chip surprises everyone as he stands up. He tells Sophia that he had faked it and tells Tom that he would never be as good as him. He tells the man on the phone that he will like to travel that night. We see the vice president, and it's Tom's previous coworker Riley. Chip hangs up the phone, and Tom asks him whether everything's settled. Chip says that it is and wishes luck to everyone. Tom wishes him luck as well, but Chip says that he doesn't need luck as he is going to work in Barcelona, and Tom is going to be stuck living in Ohio and working in the most boring agency in the world. Chip gets out and continues to brag about his life. He is unfortunate though, as a bus hits him, making him disabled for real. Sometime later, we see Wesley doing the commercial. In the commercial, he tells the story of all the previous ideas. He ends it by saying that it is just tartar sauce in a burger, but it's good, as he shoves the burger in his mouth, doing his famous trick again. Tom says cut as he's the producer of the commercial. We see Bob next to him and Tom thanks him for supporting his new business. The next morning, we see Tom and Sophia getting breakfast ready in a small apartment, but happier than they've ever been. As far as Chip goes, he had broken his legs for real this time. We see him trying to get into the building of IDEA, but he gets kicked out as he hasn't been employed at all.